Waiting for our little stream to come up. It says, well, I'll see it in a moment.
You see that video, that Kyle Slessy video I put up there?
Uh-uh.
He was a stand-up comedian turned into inspiring speaker because I guess
No.
his comedy act was a little bit
Dry.
too inspiring.
Oh, it's too inspiring, so people were like, well, fuck it.
Yeah. Well, one of his things he says is to just show up.
Just show it. Just show on up.
Just show up and start talking and let it flow.
Yeah, just get the mic a little closer. I'm watching your levels on here.
I'll figure where I gotta go.
There you go.
How's that better?
That's perfect.
Perfect.
Welcome back to Timbo and the Shit Show. It's always a shit show. I got Rex Russell, a.k.a. Anthony Tran here. What are you going by now? Are you going by the Rex Russell still?
I've pretty much retired Rex. If anyone knows me by Rex, it's in a prior life.
Okay, so he's retired. He's gone. You buried him. Poor bastard.
Yeah. He's a ghost.
So what have you been up to, man? You brought all kinds of goodies. You got bath salts. You got the good bath salts.
Yeah, some real lavender, some Dead Sea salt, some Himalayan salts. Got some Epsom salt in there, a little bit of almond oil. It's a good soak.
You just soak in. Good for muscles.
Yep.
Good for
detoxification, nourishment. It's all around good.
And then you brought some of the Rex Russell world famous kimchi. You started a Facebook thing on here, didn't you?
Yeah. I did a little group. It's I guess you could say alpha phase.
Okay.
It's a little test market. I just wanted to kind of, I've been making the kimchi for years now. At least 4 or 5 years, and I've got quite a bit of equipment now. I've got the nice kimchi buckets. I got a good vegetable cuber, and all these things have just come to my life as I needed them.
Right.
So I'm putting them to use, and I'm constantly getting asked, "Hey, when are you gonna make some more kimchi? When are you gonna make some more kimchi?" So it's got to the point where I've got enough people, asking for it. I said, well, why not move it up a notch? You're thinking website or whatnot, but
Sure.
Facebook's real easy.
Very easy.
A few clicks here and there. I got about 40, 50 people, seeing what I'm up to. And
once they taste it, it's gonna grow even more.
Absolutely. Like I said, this is just a test phase to see how people react to it, and so far overall everything's been pretty positive.
Now, are you giving these away?
For the most part, yeah.
So right now, but any thought of charging later down the road, or is it?
Absolutely. But then you get in kind of the gray area of cottage industry and commercial distribution and things like that.
Now tell people about it, because a lot of people don't know about it. There's a lot of people who want to just start something out of their house, but it's not that easy. They kind of screw you a little bit.
Well, they make you jump through a few hoops, and a lot of them are for good measure.
Right.
Obviously for sanitation, safety, for public. But I'm really small, just a handful of friends and family. Most people, we work on all kinds of bartering and trades for different things. We all have different skills and qualities.
Right.
So a jar of kimchi is a little bit of my investment to somebody, and then when I need
Sure.
a favor, it works out really well.
It comes back to you.
So I'm just kind of putting out the kimchi and seeing what comes back, but definitely, there's levels to scaling up, of course. So
what got you into the kimchi?
Just the fascination. I've always enjoyed kimchi. Growing up, we go to the Asian market. There's some kimchi.
What is it for people that don't know what it is?
Kimchi is a fermented vegetable, typically cabbage, radish, onions, ginger, garlic.
So anything fermented.
Not anything. It's a Korean style. Excuse me. This cider gave me a little burp there. I'm drinking a Strongbow ginger cider.
Hell yeah, he is.
So where was I talking about the kimchi?
Kimchi, yeah.
Right, yeah. So I watched a video, talked about the history, and I'm not going to go back all the way to the kings, but it's just a way to preserve vegetables they found in Korea. These days, it takes on a form. Most people know it as the red with the red chili pepper as a preservative.
Right.
And it's got a lot of blood circulating properties, the spice to it. But the real magic comes in the fermentation. It's the culture of microbacteria, the lactobacilli and a whole range of, really dependent on your environment.
Right.
Literally, whatever you put into the kimchi will find a way to kind of break it down.
Sure. Now, why is bacteria fermentation? It all got kind of a bad name in the U.S. How do you fight that? How do you say, look, guys, bacteria. It's not all bad, guys. Not everything has to be sterile.
Actually, as a matter of fact, most bacteria are relatively harmless. It's only a small spectrum of the bacteria that cause, all this, disease and sickness and
People just scaring themselves.
yeah, scaring themselves. And I think it comes down to, diet also.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people, just a standard American diet is filled with refined sugars and really sanitized foods, lots of preservatives and things to inhibit, the growth of bacteria. I think that's definitely got an effect on the body, especially like antibiotics and, your digestive system. And people don't realize how complex the microflora is in your body,
Yeah, if it gets thrown off, you can get all sorts of problems. You end up with all sorts of stomach problems, digestive problems, and then those things manifest into other things. Yogurt too. Just having a good base of bacterial flora in your gut. Gut flora is just all around good.
Yeah,
nothing for people to be scared about.
No, definitely not. So let's see, where were we?
We're on kimchi.
Kimchi, yep.
And then you actually just got back. Well, not just got back. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been about 6 months.
But you just got back from Costa Rica.
I did. Yeah, I booked a trip on the, it came down to the point where I hadn't left. I haven't done anything. I hadn't gone on vacation. I hadn't I was kind of in a funk a little bit. And I was talking to Heen, my wife, and she's like, you need to take a vacation. Go look something up, find something you enjoy. Go look something up. And I had been lurking on this permaculture website for a while. And turned out they had a PDC. They call it a permaculture development course coming up in January. So I sent in the email, said I was interested, and they responded pretty quickly. I had to write a little essay about myself, my interest, what I like doing, my knowledge of permaculture, things like that. And to be honest, for the most part, it was just a bunch of articles I'd read on the internet. Talked about these people called permaculturists that were building these beautiful gardens and forests, and these really integrated systems.
Right.
And I'd been fascinated by it because when you really see what they lay out, it's really some beautiful work, really complex stuff.
Sure.
So,
and that just got you hooked. You were into that stuff anyway.
Yeah,
so
I was.
People that don't know, this guy's backyard was like Farmville. It was like an urban version of Farmville. You had just about everything that you could think of.
Yeah, I've tried planting everything, and I've succeeded with a small number of those plantings. But
it's pretty epic. He's being modest, but he's his gardening skills are pretty epically known in the area. So you decided you're going to take this to the next level.
Yeah, I decided to kind of legitimize what I was doing.
Right.
Because, up until this point, it's just been a hobby. I mean, a lot of it I owe to just YouTube videos and, books I would order. And Sepp Holzer is a really interesting guy, kind of got me interested.
Okay.
He, I believe he was in Austria, and he was given a parcel of land that was kind of rocky, mountainous, and it's just overall difficult to work with. It wasn't the flat farmland you'd think. And
it's like a challenge.
It was a bit of a challenge.
Like, how am I gonna make this work?
He climbed up to the hill, and he dug out a pond, and he was trying to catch the water that would rain down.
Okay.
And he planted trees around that, and then he started bringing animals up there, and he developed a dozen really unique ways to farm land. And a lot of it's just to kind of let it be. You set it and forget it. It's not about intense labor.
That's what you used to tell me when I would garden stuff. The exact thing that Anthony would say, he'd be like, "Dude," I'm like, "Anthony, why the fuck are these things dying all the time?" He's like, "Dude, you're loving them too much. You're smothering the poor son of a bitch."
Just leave them the fuck alone, man. Give them what they need and give them a little privacy, and they'll do their magic. Yeah.
So, what is permaculture? Like, what?
Well, permaculture is, by definition, it's a series of principles. There's three major principles. It's people first.
Okay.
Let's see. The third one is return to excess, and the second one is I don't know. I'm just drawing a blank right now. They're pretty primary. It's my ABCs. I probably should have learned them. You know?
Yeah, but in essence, it's about having an abundance of stuff.
Yeah,
Like, it's working together kind of a thing.
I guess my biggest surprise when I got down there, it's not necessarily gardening. It's not farming. It's not agriculture.
So it's a system.
It's a very, very complex system
that can be used for gardening.
Yeah, gardening
used.
is a part of it. It's definitely the foundation of it, because it's where it's where most of the systems come together. A lot of catch and store energy is one of the principles. You're trying to capture as much rainwater or sunlight, in crops and grain,
right,
to facilitate, the next level. Whether it be processing bread, watering crops. There's a lot to it, and PDC was really quick. It was only about 3 weeks.
Okay.
And I mean, every day was another topic, and
so you're pretty much getting bombarded with new information. And
And
is it all new to you, or have you researched enough to where you kind of felt like you could hang with these people? Like, I know what these guys are talking about.
I was going on vacation, and a week before I was ready to go down there, I get an email sent with like a dozen things to read, a class.
By the way, before you get here,
yeah. By the way, before you get here, you need to read these articles. You need to read these PDFs. These studies. Bring a notebook, a journal. Bring all these. And I was like, well, what am I getting myself into?
Right.
Okay.
So you get on the plane.
Yeah.
And you fly to Costa Rica.
I do. I fly to Costa Rica.
And what's the first thing? Are you culture shock when you get there? What's it like? You were in the military.
Yeah, I was in the military, so I've traveled quite a bit. I've been to a lot of foreign countries and dealt with just the culture shock thing. Foreign
right.
stuff. Costa Rica wasn't terrible. I mean, just a few years ago, I was in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it was a little bit better than Vietnam in some of the parts.
Okay.
But, when I landed in the city, it was nighttime. It was dark. It was 2-3 a.m. and there wasn't a whole lot of pretty stuff to see out there. The
no,
people
it was rough.
My taxi driver was insane.
Tell us a good taxi driver's story.
I'll tell you another one. So I get to my hotel, and I just can't sleep. I'm kind of wired probably from the trip.
Dude, you're stir crazy. You
crazy.
just flew across.
I'm gone.
You're over the what the hell? You're over the equator.
I'm over the equator. I'm in a foreign country. Everybody speaks Spanish. I don't speak Spanish.
And you're by yourself. What's most
totally
important to know about this is you're by yourself. You didn't bring a buddy.
No, I brought nobody.
It's just him in a bag.
So I'm standing outside, having a beer, and I'm talking to this door guy at my hotel, and I'm like, hey man, I'm hungry. Well, where's the food around here? He's like, come on, I'll take you. And I say, I want some chicken, right? And he's like, oh yeah, KFC's right over here. I was like, look, bro, I did not fly all the way to Costa Rica to eat KFC.
Colonel Sanders, his ass is everywhere.
Everywhere, and I was like, I want you to take me somewhere where the gringo, where not the gringos, the chicas, what do they call the Costa Ricans? The ticos.
The ticos, that's what it was, yeah.
Take me to where the ticos eat, and he's like, okay, no problem, my friend. He takes his little orange vest off, and we take off down this dark alley. And
what time is it about now?
Maybe 3-4 a.m.
4 a.m. in the middle
idea.
of Costa Rica somewhere.
I've been in the country just a few hours, and he takes me out to eat, and I realize that I probably shouldn't be in this area. The people wandering around don't look, all that great. I'm in a shady area.
There's no beautiful music playing.
No,
nothing.
Anybody left out on the streets is, at this hour. But the food was good. And
that's what you were saying. You actually brought back a lot of cool recipes.
Yeah, I did. I've never had ceviche.
Mm.
It's a soured fish. They cook it in lime juice.
Right.
The acid actually cures the fish. So ceviche was really good there. And the course I went to, it wasn't 100% vegetarian, but meat was probably about 10% of what they fed us. A little bit of chicken here. I think there was beef one night. Yeah, just plantains. Never had plantains before.
Okay.
Oh, so much fruit though. I love fruit.
Yeah, they got a lot. It's a big staple of the diet down there.
It was one. I got to cut down bananas. From an actual banana, not tree. It's a plant.
Did you have to climb it?
No, it's not that big. We just had machetes and we just whacked it down. You know, one thing I didn't know
Nice.
about bananas is the banana juice, the stuff that comes off it, will stain everything forever.
Oh, really?
Like it's got a quantum staining effect that even if you destroy the garment and make a new one, it still
It's
stains.
still there.
Yeah, it's. I didn't know.
Fucking bananas, man. People don't know about the banana.
Yeah.
So you get there and you get the crazy cabbie. And did you do anything else when you first got there?
The first, after running around the streets at 4 a.m., there was nothing good to see. I went back to the hotel and crashed.
All
in there.
bad.
So, the next morning I got up and I just walked the city, and it was pretty busy, and I got to go to the Gold Museum.
That's what I was just about to bring up. You did go to they got a lot of treasure.
Wow. We went down to this vault, and I remember trying to get through security, and the guy's like, you can't bring your bag, and then he's like, you can't take your knife, and like all these things, and I was like, what are you talking about?
He thinks you're Indiana Jones, dude.
Who
You come,
knows? I did.
you're an
I
American dude. You're wearing the hat.
I did.
Dude,
I
what
had
do
my
they think?
Panama Jack hat. Actually, it's not. It's a hat I got in Memphis at the.
Okay.
There was a hotel there. What's it called? With the ducks. They got ducks. It was called the. I don't know. I'll remember before I finish. But basically, this hotel has these ducks on the roof.
Okay.
And every morning at a certain hour, they march these ducks down the elevator, and they come through on a rolling carpet and jump into the fountain in the middle of the lobby of this hotel, the Pearson.
Celebrity ducks, the Pearson.
I think it's called the Pearson. Yep. So I knew it would come to me. And they had a shop in there, and I'm in Memphis. It's Elvistown basically.
Hell yeah, it is. And you
So-
know me, I'm a huge Elvis
Yeah, so
fan.
I'm like, what am I gonna buy? Some blue suede shoes, probably.
Yeah.
So they had a little shop in there, and I found my blue suede shoes. They're made by Hush Puppy.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, give me
Perfect.
some blue suede shoes.
And comfortable. Can't beat that.
Yep. And as I'm checking out, they got this hat up there. It's like a white straw hat. It's got a little feather in it, a little black ribbon around there. Real nice hat. Let me see that hat. I put it on, and I like the hat.
It spoke to you.
It spoke to me.
It
I
spoke
caught
to
my
you.
eye, so
The ghost of Elvis on Beale Street from the Walking in Memphis song.
she puts it down there, and she rings me up, and the bill comes with like $250 or something, right? Well, the shoes were like $100.
So you're like, what the fuck
I'm
does
like,
this
wait,
hat cost?
I'm thinking she rang up like a belt or something else on. I'm like, wait, what's going on? What did I buy? And she said, well, you got the shoes, and you got the hat. Well, how much is the hat? And the hat was like $140.
Dude, they Elvis'd you.
They totally did. And I just couldn't say no to the hat.
But you're right though. You get in those positions, especially shopping all the time. It
Yeah.
happens when you're like, "Fuck, there's no way I would normally pay this for a hat."
If I knew it, I wouldn't have put it on the register. But since it was already there,
It was too late.
it
You'd
was
gone
too late.
past the point of
I'd
no
gone
return.
Past the point. I had the money in my pocket, so I bought it. And it was probably the best thing I ever did because spending that much money on a hat, I wore that hat.
You wore the
everywhere.
shit out of that hat.
wore
I
the
remember you
shit
wearing
out
that
of
hat off.
everywhere, man. I took that hat to Vietnam. I took that hat to every vacation, every trip, man.
But that became like a trademark. Like
It-
when
it's-
people thought of you, they thought of you and the hat.
That hat, man, it's a filthy hat too. I mean, it's got sweat marks all over. I don't know how to clean it.
That's
it's
the
dirty.
character. I don't know how to clean those either.
It's got a new feather in it that I got in Costa Rica because the other one fell out. I'd lost so many feathers, but that's a good hat.
So the Gold Museum.
Gold Museum, fascinating. A lot going on there. The natives down there had gold everywhere, and everybody had gold. It wasn't really a big deal at the
Right.
time. You just go down the river and find some gold. Like, I need some gold. Let's go down the river and get some. Like, get a 6-pack on the corner. And they had all these really great ways to smelt the gold and the figurines they made and the different alloys they made and the symbolism, the armor. I mean, it was fascinating.
Just try to tilt that.
Tilt that. Oh yeah, I lost the mic.
Well,
Here,
it'll
here we
it'll
go.
keep dropping down. It's
that
gotta
buddy.
get a screw tightened in there or something.
Yeah.
Not the biggest deal, but so that's cool. So you end up. So when do you actually get to wherever it is
Well-
you're trying to?
Well, it turns out that I had arrived, I don't know, like days early, and I show up to this little hostel they had where a bus was picking us up, and
Okay.
no one had any clue what I was talking about. And
So the people in the hostel, you still haven't met anybody from your your class
no,
yet,
I haven't
right?
met anybody from my court. I have no idea who I'm meeting there. That was a little bit of a shock too. But I show up a day early to the hostel, and they're like, "No, there's no bus coming till tomorrow." It's like, okay, so what do I gotta do?
Church bus don't come till tomorrow, buddy.
So I, end up. I don't even know what I don't know. I ended up making it. I came back the next day. I had to stay another night in the hotel, and I show up, and we all get on this bus. I mean, most of us. I mean, there's maybe like 15 of us, all kinds of people, all different shapes, colors. Mixture of guys, girls. There's people from like Trinidad, guys from Canada. One guy was in the military. People from New Mexico, a lot of Oregon, California. I mean, it was a really.
So you guys had like an eclectic group.
We really did, and
that's kind of cool though that everybody came from around the world.
Yeah, and it became more and more epic as the trip continued. We had to drive about 3 hours south of the city through the mountains and jungle, and it's amazing because at sea level it's 80, 90 degrees.
Sure.
Then 20 minutes up a mountain, 30 minutes up a mountain, it's 65.
Nice.
It's crisp.
Now I'm feeling better about it.
But then you got to go back down the hill, and it gets hot again because it looks like someone ran a fork across this country, and you're going up and down hills and up and down hills over and over.
Dude, you had some pictures posted when you were traveling?
Yeah, I did. I took lots of pictures. Lots of windmills there,
It looked hot as fuck.
But it wasn't. It really wasn't unbearable. Maybe it
wasn't
because I stayed next to a river and no more than.
I think it was the traveling part though. I remember a picture that you had taken. You were on like a bus or something. Dude, you looked like you were spent. You were like, fuck.
It's probably because I just marched across the city and got on a bus, and I'd been traveling for 3 days, and I was, it was. Traveling's a stressful time.
Well, yeah, especially when you don't know what's going on.
No clue. So we rode through the mountains, and people started mingling, and I met amazing people there. I met so many amazing people there. And just before we get to the camp, we stopped in a little town, and we get out for a minute. Like, this is the last stop before we head down to the farm.
Right.
So I run down to the Tico shop and pick up a case of the Coronas. It's the last
the
time.
essentials,
so
yeah.
I grab, everybody's wandering around looking for, last minute toiletries at some drugstore, and there's some clothes shopping. I'm running. And at the shop, they had a little cabinet that was full of like moringa, chia seeds, all these other like maca root, and
all the shit you've been talking about for years.
Yeah, it's
right here.
And it's all made in Costa Rica.
Perfect.
I'm like, I'm home, so I grab some of those. I grab food supplies and beer, and I run back to the bus, and everybody's laughing. I'm passing beers around.
And these are people from the class at this point.
These are everyone's. We're all going to spend the next 3 weeks together.
Cool.
We vaguely know each other's names at the time. Everyone's really feeling each other out.
Sure.
And I show up with a case of beer and
instant friend maker.
It was all done. I just couldn't help being me. I was like, you know what? It's hot. I'm sweating. Like I said, I was dying. I was like, I need some beers.
So you get on the bus, and is everybody speaking English, or what is the primary language, or how is everyone
English.
communicating?
Everything was taught in English and communicated, but a lot of people Spanish. Spanish was primary, and we had some people from Belgium. There's a girl from Belgium, and Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
Trinidad. Yeah, that's where there's 2 guys from Trinidad. They were very interesting.
And the whole thing was. You said it was taught in English, so I'm assuming these guys all came with some sort of understanding that this was going to be taught in English. So everybody had spoke English, or at least
the main
kind of knew what everyone was talking about.
The main teacher, Scott Pittman, he was he spoke English. It was his course.
Okay. So. Cool. So you get there. Now, does everybody camp, or?
We do. They have little structures all over the place, basically little sheds and they're little more than wooden playhouses, some of the places. But it was mostly outside.
Okay.
And we arrive, and you have to. You're at the road is at the top of the hill.
Okay.
And you have to descend down the hill. It might have been about half a kilometer or 3/4 of a kilometer.
Sure.
It was a good 15-minute walk. 20-minute walk to get from the road to the farm, which was on this little plateau by the river, with giant boulders everywhere. This river is full of boulders. big as cars and trucks.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Just picturing it. But I'm remembering your pictures too.
Some good pictures there. I didn't take enough pictures. I never do. Definitely not a photographer, that's for sure.
All right, So you get to the permaculture course, and everybody, you guys have like you meet everybody, you meet the staff. How's the staff? Everybody pretty cool?
Staff's
Or?
pretty cool. There were a lot of volunteers. Not everybody was taking the course.
Okay.
A lot of people were just coming there to help out around the farm and assist with the program. And they served the meals a lot of time and did little chores around the farm. And from what I understand, they were paying about $10 a day to be there.
Okay.
And that's for the
That's
lodging.
not bad.
Food. No, it wasn't bad at all.
And so once you graduate, you can go back as
I
a volunteer. Is that
So one of in permaculture, it is quite an organization. They have hierarchy and they have boards and members.
sure?
But it's loosely organized, so there's different branches of it. It's almost like Freemasonry, where there's all these different branches of it and
Yeah.
the same core. But yeah, one of the I don't know what it is. The perks of it is once you've completed your first development course,
Mhm.
you can return to any other one at a reduced cost.
Okay.
Usually, you just pay for your lodging and food. And I think for the full 3 weeks for food and lodging plus the course was about $1,500.
Dude, that's not bad.
No, that's not bad for food and lodging and training.
No.
And it was a beautiful environment. Never a dull moment there.
No.
You know?
What would you say one of the biggest things that surprised you when you got there?
I guess the amount of women that were there.
So the big
Yeah,
female influence with
there,
this permaculture.
yeah, there were a lot of women there that when I left this vacation, I don't know, it just wasn't even a thought. I was going to actually learn something and kind of relax a little bit. But yeah, I met a lot of just amazing women, just really unique ones. I called them the dirty girls. You dirty girls, because they were all about being in the earth and being in the ground and
Not prissy by any
no,
stretch.
not prissy
Yeah.
at all, man. No nails, no fancy anything. They were a rare breed.
There's a big, there's a big push in that direction now, though. A lot of women are really getting into the garden and getting into like you said, the permaculture stuff. I hate to throw the word hippie around, but I feel like that movement's really kind of making a resurgence.
Well, I think hippie was kind of a slang term at the time. It was a way to look down at people, and today they're like New Agers,
Right.
know.
Was that kind of the consensus you got? Was everybody kind of pretty new age?
No, I said something really funny. I remember sitting around and looking. I go, look at us sitting around here, our Birkenstock wearing, long haired, eating grass and green hippie people. We're a bunch of hippies. What the heck's going on here?
Right. Totally a bunch of hippies
and they laughing
right
like
now.
you are too. And we just
You're
laugh.
like, yeah, here I am. I'm not gonna say I'm not.
Yeah, but I think it's something a little bit different. I think that that whole hippie movement was, they just didn't have the technology or the infrastructure.
Not like today, man.
Not like today, with the internet and any person that decides that hey, I'm gonna plant some seeds, I'm gonna grow something, I'm gonna make something.
Right.
You just type it in YouTube. How do I grow this?
Boom,
bam,
you've got instant information.
It's ignorance is a choice these days. Saying I don't know how to do something is not a valid,
Yeah.
excuse.
Anthony, I talk about that shit all the time because it's one of the things that drives me fucking crazy. It's like there's still all these weird, I hate it, what do you call them, like old wives' tales and things. There's still all these odd.
Well, here's something. My dog got sprayed by a skunk a few weeks back, right?
Mm.
And I pop on Google, what's the best way to do it? And the very best way, it's a commercial product. It's an enzyme that really breaks things down. But second to best to that is baking soda and hydrogen peroxide.
Right.
But it was amazing how many people are like, oh, you should use tomato juice, which is an old wives' tale. There's no, it doesn't work very well.
Right.
For one thing, it will mask the smell perhaps from the garlic and the tomato, and it'll dye your
Right.
dog.
You'll have a red dog.
but the smell will still be there. It's
Right.
And it's just this ignorance that's spread continuously, where you just got to go back and recheck yourself over and over.
But even this day and age, there's so many people that fall pitfall to it, and it's not just that. It's with a lot of different things. But it's like, dude, you guys know there's this thing called Google. You can get on it. You can fact check it. You can go back. It's like you guys don't have to keep perpetuating the same, misbeliefs. But you're right. Anything is, there is no more excuses. People that can't figure it out or can't find a way, it's out there. You
And,
don't
and
need
most
an
of it
education.
is
It's
relatively
free.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, most of it's free. The best information really is. If you find yourself having to pay for something, you get into these. I'm going to teach you the secrets of this and that, and there's a major cost involved to it. I mean, maybe that's for the person, the cost for them to assemble the information.
Right.
But you can find
You
most
can
of the
definitely
information on
find
your
it
own,
for
yeah.
free. And you know what? I think that lends to, you know, someone's ambition anyways. You can take a guy and you can send him, I don't know, to college, whatever the fuck you want to, whatever the hell people do, or a trade school or something like that. But a lot of people these days, they go, but they don't really either want to go or they don't really want to. And it's become such an institution now. It's really commercialized. It's not really about learning things. It's about this institution making this money. People paying tuition to go. I went to, and not to knock all education, but I mean, I went to Michigan State. And, I got my degree in hospitality business.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I learned about hospitality business? Not a whole heck of a lot. You go through some very basic things, but it was things that you would go back and you'd say, yeah, but I kind of knew that already.
Mm-hmm.
I equated it to like one of those, you go to these seminar things and they tell you a bunch of stuff that you kind of already know,
Yeah.
and everything's very vague. And it was the same kind of thing. It's like
Mm-hmm.
they told you some like, I don't know, like formulas and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, but it's not anything that you couldn't have found on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you have the motivation to go look for it on your own,
Mm-hmm.
one, you're going to be better off.
Yeah.
Um,
You can do it at your own pace.
you do it at your own pace,
Yeah.
and you're going to absorb it more because you're the one seeking it out.
Yeah,
It's not
something
like,
you're really interested
well,
in.
my folks said I gotta go to college or they're kicking me out, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. What choice do I have? They're gonna pay for it anyways. Why don't I can party for 4 years?
Yeah.
It'll be fucking amazing.
It's an acceptable way to waste your life away.
an acceptable way to waste a shit ton of money too.
That too. I saw a quote. They said something like, "It's amazing how much the cost of education has gone up since the government's been giving away the money."
Yeah,
Or something.
it's crazy. Just the amount per credit hour right now is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
It's actually risen to the point where a lot of people are just looking at cost benefit and they're just saying, "Oh God, I could either spend $60,000, $80,000 or save $60,000, $80,000."
Yeah.
And there's a big push now where a lot of companies don't really particularly care if you decide you want to go work for a company,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of them don't particularly care anymore. They're more concerned about what is your experience level. Can this guy perform? Yeah, he went to this school. Yeah, that's good, great, and
Mm-hmm.
grand. But is he going to make us money? How the hell is he making us
Right.
money? What's the
Yeah.
bottom line kind of thing? And that seems to kind of taken a precedence. So I think maybe the ebb and flow, and a lot of people, so many people have college degrees now.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of if everybody's on the same playing field, isn't it kind of like, well, now everyone has everyone had a high school diploma. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like the
Yeah.
same. Is there really an advantage? It's a crapshoot. You don't really know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially with the freedom of information now and it just being so plentiful online.
Yeah.
You really got to take a hard look and
It
say,
just keeps getting better and better. I like what's it? Khan Academy is one of my favorite sites. I like
okay,
that. You can get a complete mathematic education.
yeah,
And it plays out like an Xbox game sort of, where it levels you up bit by bit. It'll start you with simple addition, move up to multiplication, and you've got a learning map that it lays out that shows you how many other lessons you have until you get to trigonometry and calculus.
nice.
And not that it just teaches you subjects, it builds a complete understanding from beginning to end. And you earn badges and points, and it keeps track. It's just like all these foreign language sites, like
Right.
what is it, Duolingo, and what's the other, Memrise, like these little flashcard sites.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, really easy to pick up foreign languages. I mean, yet I still don't speak Spanish.
But it comes down to motivation. How
Mhm.
badly do you want to learn
Yeah.
Spanish? Do you have a need? And not to say that you won't, but maybe right now it's just not really a priority for you. It's like,
Yeah.
what do I want to do? Do I want to spend my time doing this, or do I want to spend my time doing a foreign language? But no, that's interesting. You said what was it called? Khan Academy?
Yeah, Khan, Khan. It's
Okay.
he's an Indian gentleman. He started out by posting some YouTube videos to help his nephews in calculus, I believe.
Okay.
And the YouTube videos got very popular, so he started producing more and more. And before you knew it, he had grown into this giant mathematics website. And they added a nice software engine to it, like that keeps track of, your level, and it's grown exponentially over the years. I mean, the last 4 or 5 years, and now kids in third world countries that have access to the internet can get a complete education.
Dude,
Free.
that's incredible.
And really that's the big potential. You ever hear what these kids in Africa are doing? Making electric generators from urine. Building cell phone towers from old electronics.
The ingenuity is absolutely incredible.
Because they all have access to cell phones and internet, chat room, and they're learning very quickly, and they're using all the scraps that left over. They're skipping technological bounds. No landlines, direct to cell phone. Wait till they start building little drones and everything to deliver their whatever they want.
Yeah, it's I used to Narain back from the old assisted living, Indian guy, and he used to always tell me a lot of the same thing. People would complain. We'd have employees that would complain or say, I can't get this to work, or this thing here is broken, and he would always say, in his voice, he'd be like, in America, are you telling me in America we cannot work now because such and such is not working? But he was right though. As crazy as some of the things were, he was 100% right, because it was like, dude, you're gonna let that little thing right there completely stop the machine that is, the corporation that is, making money. You're gonna let this one little thing screw it up.
Everybody wants it to stop.
Right.
They just want to go home.
That's a lot. That's a lot of what it is.
Can you imagine if everybody wanted to go to their designated place of work?
Right.
They woke up and just couldn't wait to get there. And that's far and few for most people.
I'm telling you.
I mean, some people out there found that kind of work, but most people just dread it every day. They're just they're slowly just doing what they got to do.
Do. The stapler doesn't work. I guess we got to close, man. Everybody go home.
That's it. Game over.
Business is done.
It reminds me of these these Afghan guys,
Get it out. Get it out.
Yeah. These they'd fix a car, a truck. They'd have these trucks, these little pickups, these little mini pickup trucks with a lawnmower engine in them. I remember they'd pop the hood and have this tiny little engine that would move the truck. I couldn't understand how it worked, and then 15 guys would show up in one of these little lawnmower engine trucks, all sitting at the back, and one day it wouldn't work. So this guy's out here chewing on the battery wires. He's got the wire, he's gnawing on it away and jamming it into the spark thing. Truck starts up, 16 guys take off.
Amazing.
No, those guys are resilient and I mean unbelievable the things that they come up with to get through the day.
You were telling me a really cool story, and I don't remember if you remember telling me, but we were talking about measurements and tools and stuff like that. Okay. And you were talking about, give people a little background. You were in the military.
I was, yeah.
What were you stationed kind of thing?
Well, yeah, I was in the military. I spent about I did a full 8-year term in the military in the reserves, and during that, I was deployed. I was 22 at the time. Ended up in Afghanistan in this tiny little, they called it the flea, right? It was the forward logistic element, and it was up in this in northern Afghanistan. It was just us, like just 20 guys, 20 U.S. soldiers in the middle of this little camp, and then we had about 100 Jordanian soldiers that provided medical assistance. They were like a little MASH hospital.
Okay.
And then half of them were a security detail, which is basically just guards that would walk around the base. Now, what we did was we were the logistical element. We landed the planes. We brought the cargo into the camp. We kept track of it. We distributed it. That was our major mission.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the fuel up, keep the water up, keep the all the service, going so that this hospital could continue to function, and it was open to the local economy. People would come. I don't know how they would get to this place because we were in the middle of nowhere, and every morning there was a lineup of hundreds of people waiting to come in and have their kids checked.
Right.
People. I mean, these people were all messed up, man. They had all kinds of things.
Stuff you wouldn't see here.
No,
for
I think that was a big shock.
generations.
And just just people are mangled over there.
Mm.
You see a lot of people with short legs, gimp hands. Obvious birth defects.
Right.
And people struggling around, rolling around on carts, and I mean these people were.
It's a rough shape.
Yeah, it's a war-torn country. It was pretty bad. But where was I going with that? We were talking about the measurement, right?
Yeah, you had told me about someone measuring with their hand. I'll let you explain it. It was really cool, though.
So we lived in connexes, which are giant steel containers.
Okay.
And I had a bunch of those set up. And one of the projects we did was we refurbished one to be like a little office. This is where we would do the paperwork for the supply distribution and things like that. So we had it, plywooded and shut up, and some doors we could open and close. But we had some Afghan carpenters that would do this work. We'd give them all the lumber, we'd tell them what to do, and they just go to doing it. And they never used a measuring tape. This old guy, we used to joke around, and he said he was old Mujahideen. He was the old soldier from the last war. But he measured everything with his hands and his arms and his finger. He would use his thumb for like a 1 inch, or his finger. He'd measure it, and he would what do you call that? Teeter. He'd one finger. He'd literally walk it across the board, and he would make his cuts, and they would always fit. And everything was just. I mean, this guy never used a measuring tape.
That's incredible.
He would just lay his hand out on it, look at it, lick his thumb, and then cut a piece of board, and it would fit perfect. I mean, these guys were impressive.
That's old school. That's old.
Yeah,
He
old
doesn't get any more old school.
No, it was measuring by the body. He knew exactly what an arm length was, and up to the shoulder and the head. One time he touched his toe over here and stuck it to a board. It's fascinating. You'd think these guys had some kind of robotic technology where they were scanning everything with lasers and doing calculations. It was really a pleasure to watch them work.
But it's almost smarter in a way. It's
it
almost like I
is.
don't really need anything. All I need is myself, and I can make this happen.
You know what I think? It's a very boring country,
Mhm.
to say the least. I mean, there's not a lot of action going on except for people dying and just the environment. It's a harsh environment, storms and drought, but these people aren't distracted.
That's true.
They have plenty of time to reflect and really just kind of figure things out. And I think it's something that I've noticed when you get into mountainous regions in remote locations. Time really moves at a really different rate.
Did you find that to be true in Costa Rica?
Absolutely. Costa Rica, being high up into the mountains, it was a very pristine area. There was the people you were surrounded with, very positive, energy. Everybody was glowing. We were all, really positive people. Time moved at an unbelievably slow pace. I mean, days would last days, to say the least.
The way they're supposed to.
The way they were supposed to, because
Yeah.
there was no cell signal up there. There was no Wi-Fi up there. No one was staring at a device. And it was constant face-to-face interaction, or you were surrounded by a beautiful environment. I can remember at night laying on these rocks by the river and hearing the river and staring at the sky, which was filled with stars, and watching the stars move across the sky. To be that slowed down, to be in that kind of to watch them move across the sky, see them here, and then literally like a clock moving. You can perceive it.
That's freedom.
It's beautiful.
That's the ultimate freedom, to be able to sit back and to watch that unfold. I mean, that's real luxury, because people nowadays, in the time you have to spend, I mean, really, time is the number one currency.
Absolutely.
And if you're running around and you've got stuff to do, and I think at some point in their time, everybody's guilty of this to some degree, but you literally can. Let's say you're busy for real busy for a month. You can look back and literally not even remember that month. You'd be like, what just happened? Like, I totally missed 2 months,
like
3
that movie
months.
Click, with the remote.
Yeah.
Where he's just fast forwarding. I mean, that's profound, and it's true. what kind of memories are you making on a day? Do you even remember what you did last week? Do you remember the last 30 days? Most people can count, 3 or 4 days out of that month that had some significance to it.
Right.
But no, most of it's lost.
Right. Did you make every day significant,
Yeah.
you know?
That's why I think like an artist or a sculptor or somebody that chips away or even a musician that slowly progresses a little bit every day, you can measure that amount of time
Right.
over your creation. Like my garden. My garden was the way that it's grown over the years.
Hmm.
I don't notice it, but I know I've spent the time to it to do such a thing.
Right.
I can't remember when I planted this or when I did that or how this came about, but I see it. It's proof of concept.
Yeah.
I mean, it obviously didn't come up on its own.
No, and you're right though. It's such a trippy feeling. I didn't spend a whole heck of a lot of time. After I kind of got out of the house and everything like that. You get into relationships. You move out, you move on, and I can remember, God, it had been a while since I had really seen my folks. And if I did, it was maybe for a minute here, or like an hour or a dinner or something like that. And I can remember a couple months ago, and no knock to him or anything like that, but I remember we're having dinner with my dad, and I looked at him and I'm like, God damn, he got old. Like, where the hell? Like, not to say,
Yeah.
but to me, it was kind of like, it was one of those really fucking weird moments because you really realize time is going by.
Yeah.
Like, you may not be paying attention to it in your day to day life, but when you look at something you haven't seen in a while, or you see someone you haven't seen in a while, you're like, holy fuck, like time really is scooting along here.
Yeah.
Like it's not pausing for anything. So
It reminds me of my tattoo. The time.
yeah, show people that tattoo there.
Here I got it there. It shows time specifically. Time
There
as
you go.
I gotta watch. Like, how am I looking? Can you see it?
Yeah, you're good.
But the hourglass here has wings. And it means time is eluding.
Right.
It's always flying away, trying to catch a bird.
Yeah.
And the hourglass is empty. Time's out. You never know when time runs out, and after time, you have death.
Yeah. Sickle right there.
It's just a cycle. It's not something to be feared. And a good old Masonic thing is that only a man who lived a dishonorable life has to fear death.
That's
because
true.
he has to face his judgment.
Right.
But a man who lives righteous and just and honest, death is his ultimate reward. He gets to, be done with all his toiling.
Right.
He leave behind what all he's done and, go an honest death.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Death's one of those things people are just not comfortable with it.
They're not, and that's just a culture thing. And
isn't that so weird though? Something that's been a constant since the beginning
it's the
of
only thing.
time.
They say death and taxes, right?
Right. But that one's even before taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, just since
it's
the
the
beginning
great
of
equalizer,
civilization.
I suppose,
Yeah. It's been part of everybody's life. But still, thousands of years later, dude, we can't really get around it, man.
No.
Like we can't stop being afraid of it.
We can cheat it a little bit here and there and prolong it, but no, it's that cycle. Eventually, we'll all return to dust.
Everybody's going.
Yeah.
There's no one's getting out of this alive.
Nope.
Like everybody's going. Talking about about time and changes and things like that, dude. You're probably I'd say one of the only people that I know, and you got me into it, but you're the only guy that I know that's really, truly into Bitcoin.
Yes.
And a lot of people out there may not even know what Bitcoin is, but I think a lot more people are kind of becoming aware that there is this thing called Bitcoin. So I think it's kind of getting a little more popular. They don't know a fucking clue how to use it. They're scared of it as much as, you know what I mean, of anything else.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so much misconception over it. It's just always fascinated me. Just from what the intent of it is to what it's become. I mean, all the way down to what you can already do with it today and what they believe is possible that can be done with the technology. And like you said, it's very small these days. Even though it gets a lot of coverage, I mean, it's on every major news station.
Right.
You know,
For people that don't know, give them like a beginner's crash
yeah,
course of what exactly is
Bitcoin
Bitcoin.
is it's a decentralized digital currency, which is a lot of words there, but it's basically a public ledger. All right, it's just like a table of contents that anybody can access and look up at any time. It holds account numbers and values. That's all it is. It's really simple.
And it was created by.
Good old Satoshi Nakamoto,
Okay.
a pseudonym for an unknown person who, I guess, after 2008, fed up with our financial situation and our accounting situation, got to programming some kind of code, and that became the core of what Bitcoin is today. And then he just disappeared. You know, he started the network up. You know, he basically lit a fire and walked away.
And I think that's one of the things that makes a lot of people uncomfortable because they're like,
does.
"Who the fuck is this
Who
guy?"
is? I mean, potentially the coins that were mined in the very early days is a large percentage of the network.
Mm-hmm.
And if this thing ever caught on, it would be like having the first stocks in any major company.
Right, in the history of
in
stocks,
the history
really.
of the world. So I mean, if anyone ever gained control of that fortune, I mean, essentially you could purchase the planet. I mean, it would be so that could make people uncomfortable. Other people, they believe that it was a group
Mm-hmm.
of people, not just one individual.
And they just kind of went under one
And
assumed name.
Yeah, and they just wanted to assume that, everybody says it's the government. They say it's aliens. They say it's time travelers. They say maybe it's AI. Maybe AI developed
fucking
it.
Anunnaki brought it back, dude.
Anunnaki. That's kind of what makes it a great story, because whoever started this network today is already worth billions of dollars.
Right.
Those
Winklevoss guys are
they got
super into it now.
Well, they are, yeah. They're
Facebook people.
There's a lot of passionate people getting into it. A lot of when you get into Silicon Valley, and a lot of the real movers and shakers, they're curious about it.
Right.
Because it has a lot of potential.
But no one's really dove all the way in. No one's like really said, "I'm all Bitcoin right now."
Quite a few people have.
Okay.
There's quite a few people that have taken their Bitcoin fortune, renounced their citizenship, and have become world, travelers.
I don't know if I could do that.
If you had billions and millions and millions of dollars in shadow accounts all over the world, you might be able to.
Absolutely, you'd have to have the serious funding. And right now I find it hard pressed for myself to do anything. But it would certainly be interesting, dude.
Yeah.
It would certainly be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would be. I didn't make millions. I'm still here.
Had it happened, we would have never ever heard from Anthony.
No,
again.
never.
He just vanished.
It probably would have been me being here is presence enough.
Well, what got you into it? Like you were like one of the most early adopters.
Yeah, I think it was about 2010, 2011. Yeah, it was my no, it was 2012. That's what it was. 2012.
The Mayan calendar.
Yeah,
year.
So it was like in January that I finally said, I've been following little news articles and bits and pieces of it, and I was like, I want to get in on this. So I found some guy, and he on the internet, localbitcoins.com. And you sign up and make an account. You say you want to buy some, and they were $12. They were $12. So
for how many coins?
Per coin.
Oh, per coin.
They were $12 per coin. So I bought two off the guy, and they were the collector coins. The little Cassius coins, actual physical Bitcoins. And that was my first experience with it, and and that's when things started getting interesting, because it was going from like $12 to $30 to $40. So, I purchased a few more. We traded them amongst friends. It got really exciting when the money went way up.
Dude, it went to like 1,000 that one time.
Yeah, I watched it go up and I watched it go down. It was exciting. It definitely gets your blood going.
Right.
When you go back and you look through the transactions, I could buy 20 Bitcoins for $100.
Mm-hmm.
And then 20 Bitcoins would have been 20 grand for, 6 months later. It's crazy, what it was. But, it really taught you to, I don't know, deal with pressure or deal with watching things go up and down. And then in the end, the price crashed down to nothing. And, and I barely made any more than I got into it, and you know,
But you got a lot of
I
education
had
out
a lot
of
of
it.
education into it, you know, and then it's kind of struggled the last few years at a very steady level, price wise.
Stabilizing,
It,
though,
it,
that's
it
actually a
has,
good
yeah,
sign
but
to eliminate volatility.
but I guess I had to get over the fact that this is not going to make me rich. I can't just spend $20 to get a couple bitcoins and wait for them to go to $1 million each. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It doesn't work like that. So I just kind of shelved it, I guess. You know, I kept a coin, you know, just for nostalgia. You know,
Mm,
the what if, right?
right.
And I just shelved it. But lately, there's been some really interesting developments with it. A lot of these decentralized markets are coming up. They're trying to figure out how to replace eBay and Amazon
Yeah.
with these cryptocurrency escrow accounts. You know, multi-signature transactions, to where you'd have a giant Craigslist that has a payment system built in. You know, so you know that if you purchase something, it's secured and you're going to get your money, and the person selling it knows that he can give it to you and he'll get it back.
Right.
And it's trustless, so you don't have to worry that PayPal is going to shut down the transaction in the middle. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
No one has.
Or some guy fucks you over, and
Yeah,
like
you know,
doesn't send it.
sure, exactly, because you already, before you even trade the item, you already know the money's in the account. You can't activate the transaction without putting the money up front.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
um,
And I think it's the best part is what you're saying is it's decentralized.
yeah, there's
That means nobody's got control over it.
no one person, you know, and there's a lot of you know, the miners and people invested into it. So it's really a Wild West kind of thing here, because whoever's got the strongest server, you know, wins. You
Yeah.
know, but the cost is growing exponentially to host these servers, and it's also spreading out. That's a decentralized. So there's a lot of smaller people in there that,
Mm,
I think a third of the network, they don't even know who's running the system.
right.
It's just anonymous computers, little, you know, networks and pools.
I watched this Vice documentary on, I think it's called Inside a Chinese
Yes.
Bitcoin
Yeah, it's
mining
in like
company.
a rural Chinese village that they had built this giant hydroelectric dam in, and nobody lives there.
No, there was no one around, and it was
Yeah.
like a fucking warehouse,
Oh yeah.
and it was filled with fucking, I don't know if it was
Computer.
servers,
Yeah.
miners, and the thing is just
Humming
humming. The
along.
dude, it's humming, and there's a guy in there, and if I was that dude, I would be scared that my
They sat
balls were
around
getting
eating
radiated.
ramen noodles all day and playing video games while they plugged in out servers and threw the dead ones over here and plugged new ones in.
For people that haven't seen it, go on YouTube and go to Vice and look for the Chinese Bitcoin mining thing.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's pretty fucking crazy. These Chinese aren't fucking around when it
No.
comes to these Bitcoin.
No, there's actually, you know, I just read an article today. A company, it was called 21 Inc., I believe. They have developed a Bitcoin computer.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a Raspberry Pi powered computer with some built-in Bitcoin servers. It's got the blockchain already built into it. It's got, you know, escrow account built in, and it's all on chip.
Mm.
And a lot of big investors in it. I don't know too much about it. I just glossed over the article. But it's releasing in like November 16th on Amazon. You can order it on Amazon,
Okay.
and I think it was like $399. It does everything. It processes the payment, does the escrows. It's got
That's pretty
cryptography
damn
built in.
cool.
It's a full Linux computer. Uh, I don't know. There's a lot of people working on this stuff.
What is the difference between you all oftentimes hear like Bitcoin and blockchain kind of lumped into
Yeah.
the same thing. What's the difference between the two?
Blockchain is the technology that Bitcoin is run on. Okay, and that is the ledger system.
Okay.
Bitcoin is a unit of measurement for the data within, you know, the blockchain. So every time a blockchain creates a block, which is a mathematical calculation, that's what all these computers are doing. They're calculating math.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're going through and they're figuring out what the magic number is. They're trying to find I believe it's a number that has so many zeros in the first block, and mathematically, it could take one calculation or a million calculations. But with billions of computers calculating at the same time, it comes at a pretty steady rate when they find it, you know,
Okay.
over and over. And then they just add the last number to the next number and keep going. This is what creates blocks of data
Okay.
in a chain, because every previous entry is reliant on the ones prior to it. So
Gotcha.
if you make a transaction and, you know, it's say 5 or 10 blocks away, meaning the transaction's passed and you have, you know, 5 or 6 confirmations, the chance of anyone going back and altering that data is pretty slim to none. You know, if it's only 1 block away, I mean, the data can somehow fork or split. You know, it's a weak confirmation. But after a few confirmations, it's literally you would have to go back. If say 1 block had 1 million transactions in it and yours was included,
Mm-hmm.
and the next block had another 1 million transactions on it, and then the one after that had 500,000. To change the data in 3 blocks prior to that, you would also have to change all of the data afterwards, which would start
It would
becoming
almost be impossible.
it's almost impossible. It really is. So that's what's really nice about Bitcoin is once you've got the Bitcoin and the network has confirmed it, you've got that security that it's
You're
there.
good.
It's there. It's not going anywhere. They can't pull it out of your account. You know, the value's already been locked in.
So when you're making, and I see a lot of the posts that you put out there, when you're making these posts, and what's really interesting, and I think is more interesting to people that are kind of in the know, is not so much Bitcoin. Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But what is this blockchain going to be able to do?
So blockchain is consensus. And what consensus is everybody agrees that a chunk of data is a valid chunk of data. Okay, and right now it's only doing, you know, 8-digit transactions, you know, small transactions. But blockchain can be expanded and amended over and over again. And we're talking about, you know, full bits of data. I mean, full repositories of data, full bits of information, entire company ledgers, entire protocol. I mean, it can keep track of from the raw material all the way down to the end product
Right.
with this blockchain. I mean, the amount of addresses that can be added to it and the value that can be added to these addresses is almost infinite. You know, someone talks about these randomly Bitcoin addresses.
Right.
Because every time you hit refresh, make a new account, it just does.
Right.
And people say, well, what's stopping it from making the same number twice? Well, the way that I believe it was explained that really blew my mind, it says, well, you take a grain of sand,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and then you count all the grains of sand on planet Earth. And then you put a planet Earth in that grain of sand, and then count all the grains of sand on those planets Earths.
So it's a fractal system.
Yeah, that's how many addresses are theoretically possible, and it's an unfathomable number. You know,
It's trippy.
it really is. I mean,
It's
think of
fucking trippy is what
you
it
know,
is.
an account number for every grain of sand on the planet multiplied the
Oh,
amount of
man.
planets in the grain of sand. I mean, it's unfathomable. This is why it's
Anthony, you're fucking blowing my mind.
so here's something new on blockchain. It's called storage. It's storj.io.
Okay.
And they are a decentralized cloud platform.
Now that's fucking interesting.
Okay, so this gets me really excited because of, you know, with Bitcoin, if you run these Bitcoin miners and you start calculating the data of the transactions, you can get rewarded a certain amount of Bitcoin per how many hash hours you put in, you know, based on
Right, and that's how these miners are
that's how they
earning
work.
Bitcoin.
And they work. And, you know, my experience with it, I acquired a small miner from a friend of mine that had ran it for a while. It started costing him too much in electricity. So I plugged it into the house for, you know, a couple months in the winter because they get hot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those things produce heat. It was a house heater. So I was like, it's going to cut down on my heating bills.
Right.
And the thing was generating, you know, just over $200 in Bitcoin a month, you know, after leaving it on.
Mm.
But it was raising my electrical bill over $250 a month. So, I mean, I think after I did the calculation, I was making like $7 a month,
Uh-huh.
you know, in the mining operation. You know, it was a learning experience.
Yeah, definite economics of.
But this storage, they use blockchain and some of its data ledger technology to allocate storage. So you can share gigs of data on your hard drive to this storage network.
Okay.
And it works kind of like BitTorrent, where BitTorrent breaks up the data into small chunks, and it's end-to-end encrypted. So before the data even leaves your computer, it's encrypted, and when it hits the network, it gets encrypted again and distributed. And you can now lease sections of your hard drive to store this data.
Oh, really?
And receive payment for it.
Huh.
based on how long you actually host the data. And you're not hosting whole chunks of data. You're only hosting like a 1/100th of a file.
Kind of like how BitTorrent works.
Exactly how BitTorrent. So they really break everything up and spread it around. And they just turned the network on, and they've already hit over a petabyte of online cloud storage. Now, this is totally decentralized. I mean, it's hundreds and thousands of computers hosting, um, spare hard drive space. And they're getting paid in tokens to send data out to be hosted. But those tokens can be exchanged on servers and converted back into Bitcoin, which can be spent on Amazon to buy more hard drives.
This is why people are freaked out about it. People who are not into computers aren't going to understand fuck all of what you just said.
You got me rolling here, I'm
no,
in the flow.
but it's true though. That's why they're tripping out, because they're like, I don't know what the fuck Anthony's talking about here. I don't know if I can live in a kind of a world that's got a blockchain and a Bitcoin. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing.
Let me put it in a world that they might. This is like a far off dream that a little bit of all of this is kind of here, but none of it's complete. You imagine a world where our entire internet becomes swallowed by the blockchain. And what it means is the only reason we run the internet is to exchange blockchain data, because it's so huge that it can encompass everything. It encompasses every website. It encompasses every bit of data. Everybody's blog is just a Bitcoin chain that once it's created, it's in existence forever because the chain just keeps building upon it. So we've got this instant access everywhere, super redundant network where everyone can get on and get whatever they want, their Facebook, their online. But not only that, they can make decisions and vote on it, and they can have a fully accountable voting system.
Sure.
To where, if 1,000 people vote, they each get a random voting address, but you have no identifier for who the people are that actually voted.
Right.
So it's true freedom of expression.
Yeah, it really is in that sense.
And along with these kind of votes, the blockchain allows it to where the votes could have monetary value to it. So say they wanted to say, should we build an ice cream shop or a pizza shop? This is how much it's going to cost. And they'll figure out down to the dollar that it's going to cost, say, $43,000 to build a pizza shop on this corner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if 43,000 people vote and put $1 in there, or even 20,000 and put 2, or maybe 10,000 put $5 in, or 1,000 people put $50 in, this is a lot of generation of income. But just in that vote saying, yeah, I vote for that, and put your $5 on it, will go directly to the building of a pizza place.
Right.
And you can track where your dollar goes down to say, my dollar paid for that brick.
Right.
Because it's full accountability from the resource level all the way up to the product.
In actuality, so people really, they shouldn't be scared by it. They really... Well, if you're an honest person, you want the blockchain.
Yeah, because everything is fully auditable. A full ledger of auditability. Can you imagine if every dollar you paid in your taxes, you could see where it went?
You could see exactly where it went.
You could see and you could follow it from your computer like a Facebook page and say, okay, I paid this much, and then where did it go? Oh, it went to this account. Oh, that's the treasury account. Oh, and then they sent it to this company.
Remove a lot of fuckery that's going on.
And then it went all the way down to, my dollar paid for toilet paper in the White House. You know what I mean? It could really go to that level.
Yeah. That to me is a good thing. I don't see, right now there's almost no accountability.
No, and if it is, it's the data is obscured and we can't actually pull value out of it. It's just too much data. Today we have a lot of data collection. There's a lot of data stored that doesn't even give us any relevant information. It's too hard to process all the data.
It's crazy. Yeah. You think there's an NSA computer that's just flipping through that shit like a motherfucker?
Maybe. They're spitting stuff out. Maybe who knows what they've learned? Who knows what the all this data collection is actually giving them.
So you've got the ukulele there. You've been playing?
I brought I brought my banjolele, I guess you could say.
Oh shit! I've never seen one of those before.
No, this is unique. It's got 4 strings, and it's a banjo.
And that's your auto tuner on there?
Yeah, it's my tuner.
Nice. I use the guitar tuna on my phone.
On your phone?
For the ukulele.
This little snarky was like $12 on Amazon.
Oh, nice. I like it. Oh, yeah. You know what's cool about them, though?
What's that?
When I was, you know what got me into the ukulele is I was, God, I'm trying to remember how many years ago it was, but I was learning to play the guitar
Okay.
at the time, and then I got in a fucking a terrible accident. I got
You got in a terrible accident?
I was turning left on Merriman Road onto Plymouth Road. I had the green arrow. This woman in an Astro van blows the light and just T-bones right into me going 70 miles an hour.
Wow.
Fucking sends my car right into the pole. And I get out of the car, but dude, the impact was fucking crazy. My knees cracked together.
Yeah?
Dude, I thought both my knees were broken.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know what the hell caused my hands to get all fucked up, but maybe it was just the wheel turning real quick, or I don't know. But I can remember my fucking hands felt like they were broken too. So I fucking crawl out of this fucking car, and already there's a cop on the scene.
Oh, yeah.
So they send me over to St. Mary's, and they don't release me. They're like, "Sorry, dude. Like, the accident was too bad. We got to keep you for observation." But my hand was so fucked up, and dude, it was a couple months before it got back to normal again. So steel string guitar was kind of like out. So I was watching like some YouTube stuff on ukuleles and whatnot, and I went over to Guitar Center and grabbed one. This one here, it was like, I don't know, $100, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
And the strings on these are so much softer.
Yeah, the nylon strings.
Nylon strings, so it's way softer. And I got to playing it and ended up liking it. Picked it up. There's only 4 strings on here, so it's less crazy stuff to memorize, and it's just easier hand positions all the way around. And what's great about it is just like your banjo one, dude, you can take them anywhere.
Yeah.
They're small. You don't have to have a big ass fucking case.
No.
Carrying shit all over the place. They're small. They're portable. You can go anywhere. And dude, they're like the happiest instruments in the world. Like how you can't not have a sad face playing the ukulele.
My first ukulele I bought on Amazon. I think it cost me like $30.
Yeah.
It was the cheapest one just to see if I could figure it out. And I learned the 4 keys. C, G, A, and F, right?
Yeah, dude. The cool thing, you can, if you just learn 3 chords, you've got like a couple hundred songs.
I guess so. It's weird. As long I think I've been playing it for a little over a year now, and I just got this banjo maybe about 3 months ago. I just fell in love with it. You should feel it. Have you felt it?
No, I haven't.
So check
this bad boy out. Oh, this thing's got some weight to it.
Yeah, that's a solid instrument right there.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
And it's loud.
Yeah, you definitely get some volume.
This is the loudest instrument you can get. I know how to make it rag, man. Woo. Well, you done me, you better like it.
Absolutely. Dude, that is really cool.
Yeah.
You're making me jealous, dude. I'm gonna have to go out and grab one.
I think it was the only one, so you're gonna have to kill me. We're gonna have to do it in the ring.
Absolutely. Dude, that's fucking wicked. Where'd you say you got it from?
Guitar Center.
What did they want for that?
About 250.
Dude, that's
It's
unbelievably reasonable
it's
for
a
that.
PlayStation. You know, I the first time I picked it up, I wanted it, and then I was like, oh man. You know, like I said, I'm going from a $30 ukulele to a $250 instrument. But,
Right.
you know, you go home and you sleep on it, and you wake up and you think about it, and you go back and you look at it again. I made it happen.
But that's worth it though. People don't know if they're just seeing it on here, but the thing is solid. It's heavy, it's solid. I don't know what the hell it's made out of.
Maple.
But it's quality construction, dude. You're getting a lot for your 250. Now, what got you into the ukulele type of business?
I believe I watched a YouTube video about a guy who says you can learn anything in 21 hours.
Yeah.
And one of his examples was the ukulele. And it's funny, I thought back to when we had that office in Canton and you had a ukulele laying around.
Right.
You know, and at that time I was not musically inclined whatsoever. You know, I'd always been fascinated with it. But, you know, the thought of making progressive sounds on a device was not a skill that I had acquired.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I watched a few videos, I ordered one, and it's nice. I really like the feedback. You know, one thing I like with the banjo is it really reverbs into your stomach.
Yeah.
This thing makes my belly jiggle. You know, when I really play it and I can feel that.
Right.
And the feedback, and, you know, I do it for, you know, meditative purposes,
Sure.
for mind focusing, mind sharpening. That's what it is. That's my tool. That's what I use it for.
Well, I think a lot of people don't realize, you know, when you go on living your day-to-day life, you know, you go to work, you do whatever, you come back, you do, you know, it becomes like the same thing all the time. And you almost forget to use that part of your brain where you're learning something completely fucking different than what you're used to.
Yes.
And it's like you can almost feel the neurons connecting and fucking growing and firing.
You know, it's like a bodybuilder that just gets off on the you know, the burn afterwards of that growth.
Yeah.
You know, feeling. You wake up and you can just feel like something's different. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same in the mind. You know, every time you learn a new skill, you experience something new. You follow your curiosity. You know, it's the mind will lead you down paths.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of options out there.
No, that's super, super, super fucking cool. And the other thing is, it's such a social tool.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you go, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You go camping, you go anywhere.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, going to Costa Rica,
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I sat around a fire and we did like campfire songs and sing. You know, we sing together in a group, and you know, getting down there, there's a lot of very talented people. One gentleman, I believe, he was from Brazil.
Okay.
He could pull out a guitar and start singing in Spanish. I mean,
This
guy, he
fucking
was
pussies get wet when you start playing that Spanish guitar, buddy.
He was good too, you know, that guy. And I looked at that guy and I said, I can be that guy.
You totally can be that guy.
You know, not today, you know, not next week, but I call this is my retirement right here.
Yeah.
This is you know, some people put money away, but you know what, I'm gonna bang away at this instrument until I get decent at it, and then you know, music and travel, busking they call it, right? I'll be homeless in streets. You know, once my kids have grown and become independent, I'll just take off and live in a foreign country and play an instrument on the street.
Dude, well, you got instant friends. That's
Yeah.
the damn thing about music. If you know how to play an instrument, you have some instant fucking friends, and you've got instant anything. You know, it's like, dude, this guy he can come with us, and he knows how to play guitar. He knows how to play the banjo. You know, whatever the case is, like, you're useful now. You know what I mean? Like, you're socially useful. And I think as time goes on, people are really gonna regret not having like a skill. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can do accounting, or you've got a skill to do, you know, this, that, and the other thing, but is that something that people, you know, that you're going to be able to use in like a community somewhere?
People have such little faith in what they're capable of these days. Yeah, that's the hardest thing. You know, you hear so many people just saying, oh, I can't do that, or oh, I don't have time for that, or oh, that takes too long, or I don't have enough money to do that.
Right.
They've got a million ways to fail.
Absolutely.
And there's only one way to succeed. It's
Right.
to actually do it.
Just do it.
Just do
go
it
in
and
there
do
and
it terribly until it starts to be all right.
Right.
And it'll probably be uncomfortable. It's probably gonna hurt. Depending on what you're doing, and you're probably gonna have to change your lifestyle if you want to get better.
That's
and,
a big one.
Those are
being
big,
able to change the
those are
lifestyle.
big
People
things.
don't know about
No,
that.
Those
They're
are
like,
big
"Ooh."
things. People are comfortable and.
You can't. I mean, you probably see it more than I've seen it, but I see it quite a bit. But you always will run into people who will say like, "Oh, this and this coming soon." This is what I'm doing coming soon, or they say, "God, one day I'm gonna do this. One day I'm gonna do that." Dude, we all know those people,
Yeah.
and they don't. Dude, it never.
But-
There's never anything coming down the pipe. There's never anything like big news coming.
Yeah.
What is it? It's nothing.
It's what do they call it? It's an ego type. It's they're trying to draw energy to them.
Right.
So that they can feel, something. They want to draw interest. That's why
Right.
you see those people. They post those. Oh, this is terrible.
Right.
Well, what's terrible? Why? There's nothing.
They don't
to
explain it.
They don't want to. They just want to draw people in a little bit, so they can come up with something.
See, you taught me probably one of the biggest lessons. You may not even have known it because I probably didn't tell you, but it was probably about, I don't know, man, like 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a little while, but you said, like, Tim, people don't know when I'm working on something because I don't fucking tell anybody. I just do it. I just do it quietly,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they're like, "Whoa, dude, where the fuck did you come up with all that?" Dude, I've been doing it all along, but I'm not going to spend time telling everybody. I'm just going to just get down to it.
They say that the most successful people never share their goals.
Yeah.
And they keep chipping away at it until people notice.
Right.
And that's when you're on track. And you're exactly right. You don't tell people, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You just start doing something, and if you can continue to do it long enough with enough passion and intent, something will manifest. You'll build something, you'll gain something, you'll change something, and then people will notice.
Right.
And that's just your measurement of success. That's saying, I must have done enough to get people's attention, because people are not paying attention.
No.
There's in any hint of novelty or any hint of something's different, people, either they're afraid and not uninterested because they feel that they're just not smart enough to understand it, or it's too complicated for them, or it's way beyond them. So they shy away from it. It's the children that they're so uninhibited. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? How's that work? And they don't care to be wrong or ask questions. It's just the adults are like, oh, that's cute. And they'll try to minimize it. Oh, you planted a garden. No, I have an entire infrastructure out here. This plant's feeding this plant. I got a fungal network under here. I've got a water pond here. I got this.
Yeah, it's way more complicated than they're thinking.
But kids can understand it. My daughter will sit there and tell you exactly how the worms, do this and break this down and feed this and create that.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. 'Cause, you would always say, you'd be like, if you don't hear from me, it means I'm doing something.
Yeah,
and I've stolen that many a times.
Yeah.
I've told people, like,
you're
look,
always
if you don't
growing
hear from me,
in one way or another.
right?
Regardless of what you're doing, you're always growing. Whether it's in a positive direction or a negative direction, you're always growing. Like I said, time's always eluding us.
Right. You made a good point when saying you would, what am I shining the light on?
Yeah, what are you shining
whatever
light on?
I shine my light on is what's going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So if I shine my light on this relationship here, then this is going to grow. The stuff I'm not shining the light on, it's not going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
But you get some people, you get into this where you're shining the light on the negative thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So your life is not moving forward. You're stuck in the same, if it's a dead-end job or a shitty-ass fucking relationship or whatever the case is, you're shining the light on the shittiness.
Yeah.
and that's what's growing. The shittiness is what's growing.
Yeah, you're feeding the shit.
You're feeding the shit right now.
The shit show.
The shit show. We're feeding you right now. Right now.
Yeah.
But what? Anything in the future? What do you got coming up? Any new interesting stuff? Or what
I'm
are you
making
into?
pickles, and this week I bought a bunch of cucumbers.
Dude, tell people about what you're doing. The fermentation thing is that's a private group right now.
It's a private group. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a handful of people. I'm really not. We can grow from that. Definitely. I can barely keep the handful of people that I have satisfied. I've got to grow with it. But like I said, the first week of me putting it out there, I've already reached a few extra people that I hadn't before. Everyone came around and got what they wanted, and I have enough resources, and I've gained enough from that to make 3 times the batch. I've
Right.
already paid my cost. I've got more supplies, and I've driven the interest up. So I'm already on top of the game. I've got tons of work to do. I got beets to do. I got more pickles to make. I got to make another batch of kimchi. I got to go to the Korean store. I got to go to the Japanese store. I got stuff to do.
Well, your network was vastly extended by going on this trip to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
'Cause you got all those people now.
Yeah.
In multiple countries.
Yeah,
who are
I
all helping you out.
And when you live together with a group of people that intimately for a period of time, 3 weeks is a long time in the mountains.
Yeah, it is.
You
When
know?
there's nothing going, when this shit doesn't work.
Yeah, we were constantly engaged. We were always having different my favorite part about it was sitting around listening to people talk,
Mm-hmm.
saying things that I'd never heard people say outside of my own head.
Right.
I would constantly overhear people talking about things that I would think about privately or I would know, and I just never discussed them with other people because it's like throwing a ball down a dark alley and not getting it to bounce back.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people just aren't on the certain
They're
level.
like, yeah.
So we really, we all
Anthony's
bonded
talking
well.
some crazy
Yeah,
shit.
what's
We don't
this
know
guy-
what he's talking about.
He lost me.
Help.
Yeah. But there there was no getting lost. We were all
Right.
really supportive to each other. But I'm off topic. What were we talking about?
No, just your network.
Yeah,
Everything.
So yeah, out of like 35 people, I became friends with 29 of them on Facebook, and we keep in touch every now and then. I'm constantly getting little messages from
Mhm.
these people. Hey, what's going on? What are you up to? The other night I had a girl that I'd met there. We Skyped, for like an hour, just talking, about what we've been doing, and she's actually moving back to Costa Rica for a year.
Really?
Yeah, she's found herself a gig at like an off-grid house, in a
Nice.
farm infrastructure. She can stay there for a whole year, doing whatever. She's in her mid-20s, no kids.
Why not?
Why
That's a
not?
perfect fucking
Yeah,
time to do it.
these women, they're so free-spirited and independent. There was one woman, she was 17,
Mm.
and she was here. And this girl had literally walked across Mexico alone to get there.
Oh shit.
You get what I'm saying? I mean, she had like
Yeah.
traveled by herself to
That's
all
a
these
chick
places.
who gives zero fucks. She's not afraid.
She was super. What is it? She was a blonde, Portland chick. She beautiful hair. She totally had this youthful energy about her. She was a free spirit sprite. I mean, it's like she literally glided across the line. Nothing could touch her.
Wow.
It was amazing to see how these people, how far they had come to get here,
Yeah.
and how we'd arrived. And we said, you'd have to travel this far to get a group like this. It really weeds out, the people that aren't got their heart into it. It takes
Absolutely. You don't get slackers and jack-offs who are willing to fly all the way to Costa Rica, drive up the mountains
Yeah,
3 hours to
and
take
spend
a class.
3 weeks sleeping next to a river.
Yeah, you don't find that not a jackass in
Yeah,
one of
no,
them.
not
Or
a-
you go to any local community college, dude, you'll find jackasses
Yes.
galore.
So I find that you really have to go out there to meet, these kind of people.
That's excellent.
You've really got to travel some distance. You've got to go through some trials and tribulations to meet up with people getting stuff. You stay down in the common place, you're going to find the common people. You got to go uncommon, man, deep.
You're an interesting motherfucker, Anthony Tran.
Thank you.
Where can people find out more about what you're doing here? Are you going to start up a little channel? Are you going to start up something? Because you have an audience.
I do. I have a pre-order with the grid.io, which is like It's an AI-driven.
The AI website
Yeah, it's
thing.
the AI-driven like word blog press place. You know, they're still in beta. I'm waiting for that to come out. You know, I have my Facebook page, friends and family, but I'm expanding.
You got a Twitter?
I do. I don't use it. I don't know. I'm not connected socially as well as I could be, I guess we would say. But this is me coming out of retirement.
He's out of retirement, ladies and gentlemen.
Like I said, I'm retiring one, and I'm just coming back to who I was. You know, I'm not a teenager anymore. I'm not a guy lost in his 20s. You know, I've hit my 30s, and I'm slowly.
That's for another podcast, because we've got some fucking crazy fucking stories for another show, another time. Right. But yeah, dude, pleasure, absolute pleasure having you on here.
I had a good time.
And Anthony Tran, that's his name. Yeah. We'll keep you up to date if anything, you know, he puts up any new pages and stuff like that. But this dude is always doing something interesting, always doing something outside of the box, never the norm, which is what makes it exciting. Definitely a cool guy. But if you have a chance, go ahead, click the subscribe button on YouTube. Go ahead, click the subscribe button on iTunes or Stitcher. And that way you can get all these episodes directly fucking to you. You don't have to search around or type shit in the toolbar.
There you go.
You just fucking cue it up, and it's perfect. It goes right to your iPhone. I don't have an iPhone. I got an Android phone.
Yeah, me
but
too.
You know what I'm talking about, people. All right. Take it easy.
Good night, folks.